How to make room for things that matter in 2021. That is the topic of the hour. Hello, good day, greetings, ciao, namaste, and salams to peeps from all around the world. Welcome to the live. Now, this particular series is called the Impact 2.0 Show. This is where we feature purpose-led leaders who are making a meaningful impact through their work and touching and changing lives of many. Stick around till the end, and I promise you that you'll walk away with at least one, if not more, practical yet scrumptious takeaways from each of these live sessions, like an ice cream sundae topped with heavy whipped cream, melted dark chocolate, and a dash of gold dust. But most importantly, if you turn up live, you will get a chance to ask each guest questions that are bugging you like an itch that can't be scratched. Now, my today's guest is a positivity emanating lighthouse, if I can say so this myself. He's the owner of X Factor Consulting, the host of this extraordinary life community and higher purpose podcast. So will you please put your virtual hands together to welcome my fantabulous guest, Kevin Monroe.
Woo! Amber, wow, bring it, sister. I'm excited to be here with you today and you joining us. Welcome.
It's so awesome to have you here, Kevin. I'm really excited about this show. And let's see, we've got 𝐲𝐢𝐫𝐞𝐝 joining us already. Hey, 𝐲𝐢𝐫𝐞𝐝, thank you.
Awesome.
𝐲𝐢𝐫𝐞𝐝 is a superstar.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah. So, Kevin, now before we get into the burger and fries of this conversation, we're going to start off this show with a quick fire round. Are you ready?
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. You're gonna be.
I'm ready. No, I have no idea what you're going to ask, Amber, but I'm ready. And I told you I didn't want to know.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I'm sure you're going to be just fine. So let's go.
Okay.
What's something that everyone else seems to love that you don't understand?
What is something that everyone else seems to love that I don't? Oh, okay. Really? You're going to let me say that right up front? Some people don't turn off when I say Instagram.
No, I'm with you there.
I'm just being honest, okay? Yeah. Here, we have a commitment. We're going to keep it real today. We're going to be honest. We're going to be vulnerable. Awesome. And Instagram is just one of those, right? So every time a new platform comes out, and Instagram's not a new platform, but I 2 weeks ago, Twitter sent me this, it's your 11-year anniversary. I'm like, wow, I've been on Twitter 11 years? I didn't realize that. But, you know, every time a new platform comes out, people say, you got to be on this. You got to be on this. And the truth is you can't be on every platform. Now, maybe if you're Gary V and you've got this team of 900 people, you can be on every platform. But if you're a small business, you can't be everywhere. Now, I know people that love Instagram, but I'm still just I'm not there, Amber. I hadn't figured it out yet.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Like I'm not for TikTok. It's not for me. I know it's booming, but I can't see myself ever being on it. Bennett is saying, looking forward to things that matter. And we've also got 𝐲𝐢𝐫𝐞𝐝 saying yum to the conversation already. All right. Now, Kevin, if you could guest star in any TV show, what would it be and who would you play?
Oh, wow. If I could guest star in any TV show. Any TV show?
Yeah, from the past, present.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just have some fun with this one. Yeah. George Jetson. I would be on the Jetsons, the cartoon.
Yes,
I'd be George Jetson. And I'd be loving that technologically advanced life that we're still looking for.
Yeah. It was so fascinating when it came out. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I'm on with you on that. Now, what's the best advice you've ever been given?
The best advice I've ever been given. Wow.
Be it personal, business.
Yeah, I'm just the best advice I've ever been. That's an interesting one, Amber. So let me, and I'm trying not to think too hard on this. Best advice I've ever been given. You know, I guess I'm going to go back to, and it frustrated me at the time. It frustrated me at the time when I was a teenager, and I would ask my father some things about decisions. Now, what I did not know then, Amber, I was asking my father to help me in decisions my father never had the privilege or the opportunity to make. I didn't know it then, right? I'm sorry. I was an unenlightened teenager at the moment.
Like majority of us.
Excluded. Your son is enlightened, but you know, I was an unenlightened teenager. But what I didn't know is my dad was doing the best he could with what he had. So I'm asking my dad, what college? I was the first in my family to attend university. How do you decide what university to attend? Well, what I didn't know, my dad had never graduated high school. So how was he to know what university? How do you decide about university? So do the best you can, you know, make the best decision you can. I'll support you, whatever you do. Make the best, just you do what you think is best, and I'll support you, whatever. Now, it frustrated me like crazy in those moments because I wanted somebody to tell me, no, do this, do that. No, figure it out. You figure it out, and I'll support you 100%.
Awesome.
Serves me well in life now, right?
Well, Kevin, this is it. This is the end of the quick fire round, and I believe it deserves a bit of a wiggle and a dance.
Uh-oh.
We did it, Kevin.
All right.
All right. Now let's get into the burger and fries.
Well, see, so I thought you were going to ask me something else, but that's okay. I thought you were going to ask me about a book.
Well, okay, let's go. Because I usually try to switch questions anytime, but we'll go for it.
I got to plug a book. This is a book I found this year. Someone in our community, This Extraordinary Life, introduced me to this book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Right.
By Charlie Mackesy. I tell people I'm reading a deep philosophical book. It's become my favorite. It just also happens to be a children's book.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. And what is the premise of the book?
Oh, wow. So a boy is on a journey. He first meets the mole, and then they meet the fox and the horse. And I'll just read you the opening. I mean, this gives you a couple of a feel for this. The boy meets the mole, right? There he is, the boy and the mole. I'm so small, said the mole. Yes, said the boy, but you make a huge difference.
Wow.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Asked the mole. Kind, said the boy. What do you think success is? Asked the boy. To love, said the mole. So
I love the definition of love.
Yeah. I mean, there's just these things. It's like, wow, it just slaps you in the face and it goes, maybe there's a different way to think about these things.
Yes.
Than so much. We've defined success by so many external metrics, but the real success we're all longing for, Amber, is what? Love.
Yeah. Love.
To be loved. Love. Like, well, that's pretty simple, but at the same time, it is incredibly deep. So that's why I just had to plug my favorite book.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I'm going to grab a copy of that book now as well, since, as you said, kids can read and understand it as well. So that's wonderful. Yes, Kaleem is saying that. Yeah, that's a beautiful definition of success. Now, Kevin.
Thanks, Kaleem.
Let's imagine that I'm holding a pair of boxing gloves. Now, could you take these boxing gloves from me and smash for me, and not by face, please, but some kind of leading with purpose myth, a bogus strategy, or a misconception, and set the record straight once and for all.
Okay. Wow. Wow. So, Okay. So, I'm just, there's so many. There's so many, Amber, but I'll go for the big one first.
Yeah.
That it's for everybody else, but it's not for you. Right?
Yeah.
Don't have, I mean, somehow you don't have what you need to live an extraordinary life, a life of purpose and meaning. You are short of one, whatever that is, one thing, two things, a dozen things. Everybody else has it, but not you. So when you hear those things, it's like, they're talking to everybody else on the planet. They're not talking to me, right? Or that I think of it like this. I think the one I grew up with thinking is because when I look in the mirror, Amber, I see an ordinary guy of average height. I would like to think above average intelligence, but most of my teachers thought I was a little below average intelligence. No particular athletic ability, no particular no musical talent, no artistic, you don't want to put me up and ask me to draw sketches and us play Pictionary and people try to guess what I'm drawing. None of that. So I think, well, because I don't have any exceptional talent, I can't be extraordinary. Yeah. That it's only those people, right? Again, it goes back to that. There's a category of those people, and then there's me.
Yeah. And we are going to talk a lot more about this, exactly about this. How do we bust this myth? How do we go around believing and transforming ourselves into extraordinary people? But first, I have to ask you this, Kevin.
Okay.
Can you share with our listeners and viewers, why do you do what you do?
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I thought a lot about this, Amber, and it goes back. It goes way back to my adolescent years. And I don't know. I mean, I can't really point to the genesis and say, well, it was this one thing. It's a gift I've been given. But from the time I was a teenager, maybe even before then, I had this longing to make the world a better place. Right? That's it. I just want to do what I can do to make the world a better place. And I want it to matter that I lived. And I want to make life better for the people I have the opportunity to encounter. So that's been a zigzag path. I thought you did it this way for a while. I thought you did it this way. Thought you did it over here, right? So it's inspired all kinds of pursuits to how do you do this? But at the end of the day, it's all about making a difference and making life better and the world better for someone else.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to talk about how we can do this in small ways. So we're not talking about, you don't have to be Mark Zuckerberg or, Jeff Bezos of the world to be able to make a difference. We all can in our small ways. So before we go about talking about, how do we figure out, what things matter, can you share what mistakes one should avoid when it comes to harnessing positivity and purpose in life?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So where to start on this? But I'm going to say probably the biggest one, Amber, and one I still wrestle with. Right? Don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. And so many times, we look around and we see what someone else is doing and we go, oh, I really like their purpose. What can't my purpose be more like that? And we just start creating these unrealistic expectations because we have purpose envy. Can we say that? We have purpose envy. We go, I like what they're doing. Wouldn't that be cool if I did that? But wait a minute. There's something that's unique for you to do. Find what you are here to do and do that. So that's probably the biggest one, is comparison. And then the other one, oh yeah, let's just, okay, I'm taking the boxing gloves back a moment.
Yeah.
That our first attempt must be perfect.
Oh yes, of
or
course.
that any attempt must be perfect. That perfection is the goal. So for folks that are watching, whenever you're watching, I don't even know this about Amber. I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to confess, I am a recovering perfectionist. And I usually get about one day free of perfectionism before it raises its ugly head again, and I have to slap it back down, right? I mean, it's always be perfect, no, just make a start. I have a friend, mentor of mine, that taught me this, right? We don't burn the ships, we don't boil the ocean. We simply run the experiment. Find a small experiment, run the experiment. Amber, everything, progress, Kaleem, progress. Everything I've done in the last 5 years that has led to anything amazing all started out with very small experiments. Often that we could, and let me, they were all imperfect. Every one of them, and they're still imperfect. But this belief that we can get something perfect and that we should. Forget perfection. Forget it.
Forget perfection. Forget comparing yourself to others. And I'm sure so many people can resonate with this, because these are very, very common mistakes that majority of us make. Not knowing, I guess, the better alternative, or maybe knowing, but not knowing how to execute on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I love inspired ideas. Yep, 80%, Kaleem, 80%, and then ship it. And we can get to 80% pretty quickly with a lot of things. That last 15, 20%, if we're trying to, whatever, even if you're just trying to get to 95%, that last 15 to 20% it takes so much energy and it takes so much time. And you know what? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. So inspired ideas with imperfect action produces amazing things in the world. So when you get an inspired idea, you watch, I just pick an inspired idea, something that that's just crossed through your mind at some point, and you thought, what if I did that? So, Amber, I think you and I know a secret. There's only one way to find out. And it's to do it, right? It's not to convene the committee and say, hey, y'all come talk to me. What if I did that? No. Do it on some small scale. Do it. And then you go, oh, wow. And then you go, okay, here's what we can improve. Here's how we can do it differently next time. Or maybe we don't do that again. But in that process, all of a sudden, here comes the next idea.
Yes. Yeah.
And you would have never gotten that next idea if you didn't take action on the first idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, kick perfection to the side and allow yourself, just free yourself to take imperfect action.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah. It's kind of like that analysis paralysis phrase.
Oh, God, I don't know what you're talking about there. So maybe you can explain that to me. Oh, yeah. Let's just, right? I mean, okay. Years ago, if I had an idea, my plan, oh, that's funny. Yeah. Because my plan was to make a plan.
Right.
And my thought was that plan needed to be, just as perfect of a plan as it could be. And then you just start perfecting the plan, and then what do you end up? I'll just tell you this, there are a lot of plans I have that never saw the light of day in result of an action. Just shelve them. There are things that I've done in the last 5 years. 5 years. There's several things I've done that this whole idea of minimally viable product, MVP, minimally viable product that comes out of design thinking. Oh my gosh, everything I start now, we start with and I mean, we're not even thinking minimally viable product. We're just thinking, here's an idea. What if we started this? Would people sign up? Would people show up? Would people join in? And so there's several things in the last 3 years that I've gone from idea to implementation in 2 weeks or less. And those are actually some of the most amazing things I continue to do to this day. And Amber, 5 years ago, I would have never gone from idea to implement. I'd still be in the planning stages for 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And it never, but wow, what if you can just take an idea and you do something in 2 weeks and you find, it's like, wow, people love this.
Yeah.
People love this. People want more of this. And then you just build on that. So, hey, if there's an idea, take some kind of action.
Take some kind of action.
Some kind of action.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. It's the same with me, that years ago I would have just thought about everything that, put the full plan together. Just make sure that, everything is right and proper and perfect before we do something. And of course, experience tells you, life teaches you now that isn't the way.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, we go back to the Nike thing, just do it, right? Just do it. Just do it. And I never even connected those dots, right? Just do, but yeah, just take something, do it.
Yeah. So, Kevin, how do we even figure out what should or shouldn't matter in life? Where do we start? What are the key guiding principles that we should keep in mind as we go into 2021?
Well, so I'm gonna ask you something. I let you spring a couple of questions on me that I wasn't prepared for. I'm gonna turn this around. May I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, no, I'm serious, because I want you to model this. And I think this is a beautiful question that every one of you watching, whenever you're watching, should stop and ask this question. What is something you value more now than you did this time last year? I mean, that's kind of what 2020 taught us, right? There are things that we thought were important in January, February, and through the first 10 days of March 2020. And then all of a sudden now we realize, wait a minute. So what matters more to you now? What is something you value more now than you did this time last year? What's something?
I think for me, it's definitely been the focus on my family and focus on what I do, because it just made me realize, because before that, life was just very chaotic. Let's say starting off 2020, just like any other year, you too much is going on, and the hustle bustle of life, and the remainder of the 2021 forced me to slow down and focus on what we're talking about today, is to what really matters. What really matters in life. And for me, it turned out to be, spending some really valuable time with my kids, as they were home as well. So it just so happened that we were able to do, communicate more and form better relationships than I guess we wouldn't have intentionally done that otherwise.
So when we start talking about making room for things that matter, the very first thing is to identify what really matters.
Yeah.
And I've just found this is a question. I was helping a friend prepare for a group they were running.
Kevin says myself.
Pardon?
He said he's made time for himself. Yeah.
Make time for yourself.
Yeah.
So I have a friend that was hosting a meeting in October and wanted a really powerful question to energize conversation. And so we were talking about this, and this was the question we created for that meeting. What is something you value more today than you did at the beginning of this year? And the things that generated to people. And so I will tell you, I mean, here is something. So it's funny if you design meetings, like I design meetings, and sometimes we create questions And then I show up at the meeting, and I've never thought about the question since. And it's not like I created the question, so I have a head start on everybody else in the meeting. We kind of created it, just shelved it. So we're sitting in that meeting, and all of a sudden I hear this question that I'd helped craft. What do you value? And Amber, the wildest thing crossed my mind. The wildest thing. Hugs. Hugs. Because, I mean, right now, our granddaughter just popped in for a visit. She's downstairs. I'm upstairs in the office. But there were months
when you didn't see her,
that we didn't see them. Then there were months when we were seeing them, but we didn't get to hug. Now, I come from a hugging culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I walked in the room with you, I'd probably ask, I mean, this is pre-COVID stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now we do things, but there would be this hug, there'd be this embrace, even of strangers, right? There's just this welcoming. We've not done that. So that's one of those things. You know, it's so the other thing, I do so much work around gratitude. And what you said, family and health are things I hear people valuing more now than before. The other thing, gathering for meals. With friends, being together in person. So, you know, when we start thinking about making room for things that matter, I mean, the first thing is just stop and ask yourself, what is and so I would even ask it this way, not what do you value more now than you have before? You know, whether that's a year ago, then you go, okay, now, if that's what I value, what do I need to do to invite or make room for more of that in my life? So a lot of us realize there are things we need to stop doing, right? There are things we were doing that we thought were important.
Yeah.
But they're not as important as we thought they were. So, you know, the first thing, just do some kind of audit, right? Do an audit, what that is, what really matters. Here's another one of my favorite. Let me ask you this one. What gives you joy? What gives you joy?
Yeah. I've actually found my virtual joy doing this, because like you said, I figured out what I valued was my connection with other people, meeting other people, connecting with other people. So now, obviously, like, we have connected in 2020, and we're doing this live together. So, you know, be it virtually, but I realized that how much I miss that and how much I value meeting and connecting with other people.
Okay, so then if this is something that matters to you, then how do you make more room for it, right? So maybe there is something that you would have been doing before, and you go, well, what if I mean, wow, okay, I didn't see this coming. But you know, so this is something you said earlier, Amber. What we are talking about is not total life re-engineering, total life transformation, 90 days, and you're, you know, this kind of P90X kind of extreme. No, what's a little thing? So what if there is something that you do in as little as 5 minutes, 3 minutes a day? What if you just say, every day in 2021, I am either going to reconnect with somebody I've lost touch with, or be intentional to create a new connection with someone today, or invest in a conversation with one of my connections. Because, you know, we live in the most disconnected, connected world ever, right? I mean,
I like that. Disconnected.
I mean, everybody can say, oh, I've got all of these connections. You know, I can show you, I've got a bazillion friends on Instagram. I've got a bazillion friends on Facebook. Well, when was the last time you had a conversation with any of them? Oh, no, I never talked to them. You know, but I just hit like, they hit like. What if you took that into a conversation? What if you said, and maybe it just starts, I'm going to do one of these a week. I'm going to have one 30-minute conversation, deep dive conversation with a connection and we're going to see what happens. Yeah, I love this freedom from, freedom to, 𝐤𝐤𝐫𝐝, right? Yeah, so part of this is, yeah, how do we free ourselves from some of these obligations that we've placed on ourselves or that others have placed on us that don't give you any joy? And how do you free yourself to what matters? So whatever that is, if it's just, you know, oh gosh, I was facilitating a gratitude encounter for a group last week. And we did this thing. Let's see if I can find, we created, so we created this gratitude challenge card deck. There are 54 cards. And so I'll use cards like this. And here's the Lifesaver challenge. So we just asked, hey, and this was a company. This was in a company. Who's been a lifesaver for you this year? This can be in your work team, your family team, your community team, who's somebody that's been a lifesaver for you. And what if, and so I did this right then. I said, okay, what we're going side, everybody got somebody identified, and everybody go, yep, we got somebody. Take 90 seconds right now. I'm going silent. 90 seconds. Communicate to that one person that you are grateful for them and why, and how they've been a lifesaver to you. Do it right then, right? Don't, this isn't an assignment to do later. It's an assignment to do right now. And before the end of the meeting, so we did this in the last 15 minutes of the meeting. Before the end of the meeting, people are already getting messages back. There was one participant in the meeting that was so moved, they said, you know what? I'm going to communicate to one person. I'm going to communicate one message to one person every day that I'm grateful for you. Now, Amber, that's not a big thing. I mean, when we think about this, is that a big rock to lift? No. But what do you do to create that habit and follow up on that habit, right? You set some kind of a time on your calendar. I'm going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I'm going to communicate to one person every day that I'm grateful for you. What would happen? What would happen in a week's time? What would happen in a month's time? So one of the things, I love LinkedIn. That's how you and I met. I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn has this little cool thing that's only on the mobile platform.
The voice notes?
A voice message to someone, right? Now, I got to tell you, if you start doing this, I would invite you to do it. But if you start doing this, you got to make sure you use the person's name in the message. Why? Why is that important? Because otherwise people are going to think you just found a LinkedIn hack and you recorded one message that is being sent to all of your LinkedIn connections. And you know, it just doesn't mean anything because they think you sent that message to everybody. Hey, I had a friend last week sent me a video and it said, watch my Christmas video. It's a friend in the UK. I'll call her by name, Miranda. Miranda sends me this video. And it's view my Christmas greeting. And you know what I thought it was going to be? Just a generic message. Hey, you know, whatever. I'm wishing you a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas. You know how she started? Hey, Kevin. I wanted to thank you for our friendship has meant so much to me this year. Our collaboration, Amber, I was moved to tears. Seriously, I was, because I am expecting, we live in this world where we expect mass customization. We expect hacks. But when you just pick up your phone and you go to a LinkedIn message and you hit that, and you got to think about this because it's got to be 60 seconds or less, or you go into part 2 and part 3. But when you go, hey, Amber, I was just thinking about you. And I wanted to tell you, I'm grateful for you. You've been an inspiration to me in the following way. I love what you're doing with your show, whatever. That episode, maybe somebody drops you a message and says, that episode you had with Claude Silver, that was amazing. And I was so inspired, and I did this as a result. Somebody leaves you that message. What does that do for you, Amber?
Oh my God. I mean,
So here is something. I mean, there are times that I just go this week, and I don't do it every week, but there are times I go this week. I'm I'm going to leave 5 of those a day. I'm going to find 5 people in my community, and I'm going to drop them a message. Now, let's just do the math. How long does that take me? They're 1-minute messages.
No.
So maybe it takes me 7 minutes. It takes me less than 10 minutes. When I started doing this, Amber, first off, there's something powerful about our voice, your voice. And I will tell you, okay, I'll tell you another story. You're now talking to a guy, listening to a guy that up until a year ago, September, hated my voice.
Oh, wow.
Hated it. I didn't want to listen to myself on anything because, you know, when all of my friends, when we all went through puberty, all of our voices went to the where mine is. After puberty, everybody else's voice went down. Mine didn't. I have a higher voice than I wish I had, right? That was the thing. Last year, a year ago, September, I am at the Waldorf Hotel in London, England, to speak at a conference, and I'm standing there at the registration table talking to Taya, who is the conference organizer, and all of a sudden, a lady walks up to sign in, and she hears Taya and me talking, and then when we look up, she goes, "I know you. I recognize your voice. I listen to your podcast." I'm like, "What?" Right? I travel from the States to the UK, across the pond, however many thousands of miles, kilometers that is away. I'm in this venue I've never been in before, and there's somebody that says, "I recognize your voice."
Yeah.
Okay, so the power of voice connects. People want to hear your voice. What else do people love? They love hearing their name. So when you use your voice and their name and leave them a personal message, you just made a difference. So Amber, when I first started doing this, I mean, it was just one of these ideas that I had. I had found this feature. What if I left 5 messages a day for 5 days? So how many people do I have an opportunity to impact over the course of a week? Hope the math is easy for you, right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for an answer. 5 times 5 is
25 people a week.
Yeah, 25 people. Do you know how many of those people messaged me back and said, "Oh my gosh, you just made my day. You made my week"?
Wow.
My mind was blown. I mean, literally blown. Like, what? What? A simple 1 minute or less message made somebody's day or week? Now, this goes back to something. Why? I gave you before we went live, we were talking about this. Why? Everybody on the planet wants to be seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
And when I drop you a message and I say, "Hello, Amber," or "Hey, Amber," I'm seeing you in that moment. And then and I'm valuing you. I'm telling you something. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. A 1-minute message can make such a huge difference.
Yeah.
And people go, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay, I've done enough of these that I can promise you, if you want to make a difference to people in your spheres of influence, just start dropping them these random messages. What do you say? Well, whatever comes to your heart and mind, right?
Yeah.
Say something different to each person. This isn't a canned message.
Yeah.
There's not a script.
Yeah.
But it's just like, express gratitude, express love. Tell them, yes, you matter. You matter. When you did this, here's how it impacted me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And they're going to go, "Really? Wow." So, and then guess what? What if they do that for somebody else? What if they do that for somebody else? Then we start these waves and ripples of love and kindness and gratitude and appreciation. And it starts circling the world.
Yeah.
With what? 5 minutes a day.
I really love that tip. I mean, I think you've just given me some food for thought already on what I should be doing, and then and making it a habit. That's the most important thing. That how do you make these small little things a part of your life, a habit on daily basis?
Yeah. Okay. So part of I'll give you a secret for me. I do this on my morning walk. There is a part in our neighborhood where I'm not climbing a hill and, not winded, because some of those, if I'm trying to talk to someone, hey, Amber, and Amber's thinking, what kind of message did I just get from Kevin? No. But I get on a straight stretch and I can just record 5 of these in 5 minutes. And I just kind of flip through and go, or who's on my heart today? And if how many of you watching, somebody crosses your mind, comes to mind, crosses your heart, and maybe they do it 2 or 3 days in a row. Take action on that, right? You have no idea. We have no idea what somebody might be going through. And that little point of connection reaches out to them, and they may. So I did this. Yeah, I'm trying to think who this was. But in the last 2 weeks, I reached out to someone, just left one of these simple little messages.
Yeah.
And somebody was in one of those really dark and down moments, wondering, do I matter? Does what I do matter? Does it matter if I show up to the meeting today, this group? Does it matter? And when somebody calls and leaves you a message and goes, hey, it was great to see you there, or I missed you there, or whatever that is, we're addressing that need. We're answering that question. Do I matter? You're letting them know, yes, you do. And you don't even have to say you matter, right? Just the very act of you messaging them tells them, I matter to you. Wow. So they're these little bitty things. So this is what we discovered. So I'm pausing a moment. Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you 3.5 years ago. So there've been 3 times in my 3 times in my adult life that I really battled depression. Some really dark moments of depression. Then there are other. We all have dark days.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, but there's sometimes we fall down that slippery slope and we get in a dark slump. Well, I was in one of those dark slumps, and I couldn't even drag myself out of bed. So what does that mean for me, Amber? That means I slept till 7 that day rather than 4:30 or 5 or 5:30.
Well, okay.
But so I'm getting out at 7 in the morning. I just didn't feel anything, but I have a morning routine. So I was following that morning routine, and I just opened myself up, but feeling very dark, but just said, Holy Spirit, you are the source of creativity. Spark some creativity in me. And I'm in this space, half asleep, half awake, right?
Yeah.
These moments. And 45 minutes later, I had this idea. It was 80%. This was probably the first one of those ideas when I started talking about ideas that I took action on. It's probably 85% formed. And it was host the extraordinary life experiment, the extraordinary experiment. That's what we called it. Just are there little things you could do that if you did them over with consistency, that would change your life? We had 270 people from 28 countries join us. 274 people signed up. 247 people completed 90 days of this. We each of the 13 weeks had a different focus, and they increased with a little bit, of intensity or a little heavier lift each week. And we just asked, what if you did? But we're always just asking somebody to do something little. It was never a big thing, a little thing. And we saw so many people discover life is extraordinary when I focus on other people. So we started with the awareness challenge. Just be aware of the people around you, the people that cross your path. The first week, we didn't ask people to do anything, not make contact, none of that, but just be aware. And then we asked people to engage in some way. Aware to acknowledge. Just what you're doing right, just nod. You see, you pass the security guard, the receptionist, the barista, just nod. Right? If that's all you can do right now, just nod. Now, a couple of 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, we're asking you to engage with them. Say, they have a name tag. Hello, Amber. Good morning, Amber. Right? Just engage. All you don't have to go to a conversation if you're not comfortable. Just call them by name. All of these little things. Little things make such an enormous difference. But it's the compound effect. It's like compound interest. It's not that you do this once and go, well, gosh, nobody noticed. No. You just do this day after day, week after week. And all of a sudden, so here's a story I love telling because the impact of it was, I happen to be in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And this is just the way my dad taught me. So this comes very naturally for me. When I'm at a restaurant, I ask the server when they come, what's your name? What's your name? And then I'm pretty good with names, remember their name. When they come back, I engage them in conversation over the course of the meal. So I'm meeting a friend, Dick, a gentleman I'd met on LinkedIn because of our mutual interest in servant leadership. So we're having breakfast. This lady walks up and I said, she goes, can I get your, what would you like to drink? And I said, oh, hey, I'm Kevin. This is my friend, Dick. What's your name? And she's like,
she's confused.
Yeah, what do you want to drink? And I told her I'd have a coffee. She comes back a few minutes and she goes, I'm sorry. I've worked here 25 years. No one
has asked my name.
Has ever asked me what my name is.
Wow.
Amber, I'm kind of like, my mind is blown. I'm like, are you kidding me? How could this be? How can in 25 years, no one ever bothered to see you as a person and to connect and engage with you as a person just by the simple thing of what's your name? Those little things.
Yeah.
So her name was Pat. Funny, I still remember that. Her name was Pat.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm pretty sure Pat went home and was talking about that or thinking about that encounter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? These little things. Yeah. Little things. And so I'm sure that was an extraordinary experience for her. And when you see somebody and you're in a line and everybody in front of you has just dumped on that person, whether it's the gate agent at the airline or, the cashier at the grocery store, and all of a sudden you just look at them and say, and you see that, hey, Amber, gosh, how you doing today? Or it seems like you've had just a rough day. You're doing a great job. Or, you know what? Gosh, thanks for taking care of me today. All of those, all of a sudden it just shifts. It shifts everything for that person. Yeah, absolutely. So. Absolutely. I think that this is even though you said it so casually, but this is such a huge point that we go about life ignoring what people around us, ignoring, like you say, we enter a shop, we ignore the guard, we ignore the person on the till, we ignore the person stacking the shelves, every day in a restaurant, you say the waiters, the waitresses, we go about life ignoring people left, right, and center, because we're missing that intention to acknowledge people where they are. Yeah. And so there are, I don't know how many millions, but I promise you, there are millions, if not even a billion plus people on this planet who feel invisible. Oh, yes. They feel invisible, that nobody cares about me, nobody sees me, nobody notices me. And like you said, that little thing of just seeing someone that no one else has seen, it is transformational. Yeah. It is transformational. I have a friend, we were doing some work together in gratitude, and he's written books on gratitude. And then he was in a park with his grandson, and he said, Kevin, you taught me something. I'm like, what? He said, I asked the homeless person his name. And it transformed. Okay, so many times you and I go through life having one transaction after another, all of these little bitty small transactions. When we see someone, when we acknowledge them, all of a sudden that transaction has been transformed into an encounter. And they believe I matter. They believe, oh, he or she saw me. They smiled at me. They were kind to me. They had compassion on me. And for people who feel invisible, that is such a huge lift.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And every one of us, every one of you listening, you have the power to see someone that others don't see. You have the power to call someone's name that other people ignore. And when you do, it is transformational.
Yeah.
And they are just ignited, and they are, wow. So anyway, wow. You want to live an extraordinary life? If you want to just connect to people, be aware, open your eyes, look for opportunities, because they surround us every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is how we started this conversation. Those who may be watching this on a record or later on, or joined us later, is that we don't have to be, when we think about who can transform somebody else, we shouldn't, it's not the Zuckerbergs or the Jeff Bezos of the world. It's all of us. This is what you shared, is how we help others transform their lives, how we help others be seen and heard and valued.
Yeah. And it is so, okay. So it's simple.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy.
Yeah.
And why isn't it easy? Because what we are talking about here is this transformation that all of us need to go from, oh, I love that, Kaleem, love Joe Polish and Dan Sullivan, to go from a self-absorbed, self-focused, self-centered life and world, right? I mean, I remember years ago, I was working in the corporate sector at this time.
Yeah.
And I think people would have, I want to be happy, kind, jovial. I had a 360 review. And some of the feedback I got was, wow, that Kevin guy, he seems kind of snobbish. And I'm like, me? Snobbish? I would have never thought that. He seems, he doesn't seem to care. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So Amber, what I learned through that process, I can be a hyper-focused guy. And I could be walking down the hall from one meeting to the next, totally thinking on what happened in that meeting, what I need to do in the next meeting. And you know what? Not even realize I'm passing people down as I'm walking from one meeting to the other. Now, why would they think that? Because that's how I came across. He didn't see me. He didn't hear me. He didn't speak to me. It's kind of like, so, what if we made that shift? What if in those moments from one place to the next, right? And that whatever your journey is, if you're hosting a Zoom room, Zoom makes this easy. Why? Because everybody's name is right there on the screen when they're entering the Zoom room. Hey, Amber, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Tom, welcome. Kaleem, welcome. We're glad you're here today. Those kind of things. That people want to belong, right? So that's that real desire we all have, is to belong. But it all starts by feeling welcomed. So how do we welcome people? And it just starts with getting your eyes off yourself. So last week I was hosting an event for a client, and this was the first event. There are a lot of other events that are on the line. So Amber, let's just be honest a moment.
Yeah.
There's a moment that I am tempted to want to impress people.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot on the line. So I want this to go well. I mean, that's a subtle thing, but but if I want to impress people, where is my focus? It's on me. I'm wanting to, project this image.
Yeah, make myself look good.
Yeah, I wrote an intention. What did I want to do? I wanted to connect, inspire, and encourage, which I wrote equals serve well.
Right.
I just want to show up as me, put all of these kind of, you need, make sure you quote the research, that make sure you, all of those things that get the voices in our head. Like, no. What I want to do is I want to show up. I want to connect with people. I want people to feel welcomed, to feel valued. And you know what was pretty interesting at the end of that? They were impressed. Not by anything I had said. They were impressed that that I showed up authentically as me. And it's like, what about that? What if we just show up as us? What if we kind of put all of those voices out of our head of, you should do this, you should do that. Make sure. Here's something I've learned in all of the speaking that I'm privileged to do.
Yeah.
Presence and connection trumps polish and perfection.
Yeah.
Right? We think it's all about never stammering, never losing our way in never. What am I supposed to? But when you connect with people and when people feel authentic, you know what? They don't even realize that you just forgot a phrase.
Yeah.
They're just connected. They're feeling you. They're with you. They'll follow you anywhere.
Yeah.
But when it's a performance, and I'm just here to impress you, I want to serve you. I want to connect you. So, wow.
Can you believe it? We've been going for almost an hour now, right?
I just saw that. I'm like, that just seems like 15 minutes we've been talking.
I know, but it's been wonderful. So, I mean, I know we have to wrap this up. I value your time as well, but let's because our topic, as everybody can see, is how to make room for things that matter in 2021. So let's say, this 2020 has been a roller coaster of a journey for a lot of people for various reasons.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. For various reasons. So how can we best, in your opinion, how can we best enter 2021 so that we do not carry the baggage forward from 2020?
Okay, so let me reframe your question just a bit, okay? First off, what's the baggage from 2020 that will serve us well? Because we don't want, here's what I fear is happening. 2020 has been such a painful year for so many of us. I'm not saying you, I'm saying us, because it's been painful for me, Amber. But what are the lessons I've learned in 2020 that I want to carry and continue in 2021? So let's look at this. There are two types of baggage, right? So let's just go. You got that 50-pound limit or whatever that is, however many kilos that is. What are the things you can take, and what are the things you need to leave behind? So do that. So first off, let's use the gratitude as a filter. What are you grateful for? Even in the difficult things that happened this year, what's the good that came from that? So what is something, I want to invite everybody to think of what you are grateful for. What is something you are grateful for that you want to carry over? What do you value more than you did this time last year? You want to carry those forward. Then let's close the door on that other stuff. What didn't serve you well? What didn't serve me well? So we don't want to carry unresolved pain forward because it's only going to come up. So we want that pain. We want to create a process where that pain can be healed, not where it just festers and shows up, 60, 90 days later. I love this phrase. I wish it were original. I don't even know where I heard it first, but we want to serve people from our scars, not our scabs. Right? So we got to let anything that was painful, we got to find healing for it. And then it becomes a scar, and we can help people out of our scar. But if every time, I start scratching that and it never heals, and then you're like, I remember meeting a guy one time. He's telling me this story, and I'm thinking this happened to him in the last 6 months. It had happened 16 years before, but that pain was so fresh for him, it had never healed, right? And it was, and he just told that story every time. So find a place to bring closure to those things that are painful. Celebrate the good. Bring closure to the things that aren't going to serve you well, and then just create an intention. I love the word intention. How do you want to show up? How do you want to shine in the world in 2021? What do you have that you want to give and share with others? And then just say, here's how I'm going to do that. Right? You used a word at the very beginning. I think you said lighthouse. Marianne Williams. No. It's not Marianne Williamson. It's Anne Lamott. One of my favorite quotes. Lighthouses don't go running around the island looking for boats to save.
Yeah.
They just stand there and shine.
Yeah.
Right? So shine your light. Shine your light. Share your love. Be a beacon of hope, and people will find you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. It seems like, Kevin, you've already shared so many things. But I'm still going to ask you to share another challenge with the audience. So let's say if let's keep it very concise for our viewers and listeners here. Maybe if you could share a challenge that they can implement over the next 48 hours. So we're not talking about, over the next 30, 60, 90 days. Something that they could do over the next 48 hours to make going into 2021 a better experience for them.
So, item 1, make a list of 5 people that in some way inspired, encouraged, uplifted, or benefited you in 2020. 5 people. 5 people. I'm not saying the top 5, just any 5. 5 people. And think about what it is they did. If 5's too many for you, do 3, but try to do 5. Stretch yourself to 5. Send them a message, a text message, a WhatsApp. If you on LinkedIn, send them that voice message we talked about, but somehow tell them, wow, I was thinking about 2020. Now, okay, let's do it like this. What are the bright spots? What are the brightest spots of your 2020, and who was shining a light in that moment? So think of the bright spots, the bright spots in 2020, and whose light did you see shining?
Okay, awesome.
Tell them, and then contact them. Tell them, hey, thank you. You know what? I was having a dark day. I was in a dark season. You said something. You shared something. You wrote something. I heard something. You did something, right? Fill in the blank. Here's what it did. Thank you. You have no idea what that meant to me.
Yeah.
If you do that, if you can only do it with one person, it'll make the difference for one person. But if we're giving them 48 hours, 3 to 5 people, 3 to 5 people, very short messages, but just go. And I'm grateful for you. I'm so happy you are in my life. Thank you.
Yeah. This is beautiful, and it's something. Hopefully, all of us, at least who are on the live here today, can go and implement this in the next 48 hours. But I guess what's even more important is that to make it a habit, a part of our life, a consistent habit that we continue with.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So so then reflect what happens over the next 48 hours from you expressing gratitude to 5 people. Reflect on that and go, what if I did 5 more? What if I did this, to your point? What if I did this every week? What if I took one day a week and just expressed gratitude to 5 people? What difference would that make in my life, their life, any of that? Gosh, Kaleem, thank you, man. You stayed here the whole time. I got high five, buddy. High five.
Kaleem is a superstar, and he's one of those people that he already knows. We talk a lot, but thank you, Kaleem, for showing up in my life in 2020. It's been a wonderful experience. So, Kevin, where can our fantabulous listeners and viewers of the show find you? Or if they want to follow your content, where should they go and look for it?
LinkedIn is probably the social media I am on most. I host a community and a podcast.
LinkedIn
it's right there.
And what about this is your website, Kevin?
That's my website. That's my website.
And
This Extraordinary Life, another website. That's a community I lead.
Yeah.
And did we? I'm trying to remember. Did we do this? Is there one more?
No, I do not have any more of.
So here it is. WhatsApp.
Yes.
Text +1 404 713 0713.
There you go, people. And we will have all the links and details available in the show.
That will ring right here. I will respond.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, thank you,
Amber.
Thank you, Kevin, for joining me and bringing your beautiful self to this live today. And I hope we can do not many more in the coming year, many more together of these lives and podcast interviews. So thank you, and toodaloo for now.